when Faith comes out, I've learned that I have a lot to learn. And watching her on stage this year and watching her perform every night.
A 27-year marriage has ended in divorce for Tim McGraw. The heartbreaking illness of Faith Hill has left the once unstoppable country artist with the worst decision of his life. In a private setting, medical professionals conveyed the news that altered the course of events. Fans watched with disbelief as Tim canceled gigs and underwent repeated operations. Finally, at the age of 57, he has taken the heartbreaking decision that is causing Nashville residents to cry. It all began in a little Louisiana village for Tim McGraw. Delhi was the site of his birth on May 1, 1967. The young waitress who raised him, Betty and D'Agostino, had a tough time making ends meet. Tug McGraw Sr. was a small league baseball sensation who became a Major League Baseball superstar. The most of Tim's childhood, meanwhile, was spent without Tug. He was brought up by his mother, who lived off of assistance and food stamps. For a long time, Tim thought Horace Smith, his stepfather, was his biological father. Smith was even the final name he used. Everything changed when he turned 11. He stumbled upon his birth certificate in his mother's closet one day when searching for a picture to use in a school assignment. Tug McGraw, not Horace Smith, was the father's name that was listed. The truth was revealed to Tim by his mother when he inquired about it. However, Tug continued to deny being his father despite the evidence. Tug didn't come clean until Tim turned 18. Their friendship flourished and endured until Tug's 2004 death from brain cancer. Tim has an innate athletic ability long before he learned his father's identity. He wanted to play professional baseball so much that he got a scholarship to attend Northeast Louisiana University. However, everything changed when I hurt my knee. His baseball career was cut short before it ever started. He resorted to music at that point. When he was little, his stepfather got him into country music. His newfound desire now consumed him. Leaving for Nashville, Tim did so on May 9, 1989. Keith Whitley, a country music legend, died on the same day. Tim lacked resources, including contacts, funds, and assurances. All he had was his dream. A plethora of gifted vocalists were vying for fame in Nashville. Striking it rich wasn't a picnic. His biological father was the catalyst for his initial success. Unbeknownst to Tim, his father Tug McGraw aided his son's professional endeavors. A music entrepreneur was given Tim's demo cassette by Tug in 1990 at a Philadelphia Phillies party. Curb Records finally got its hands on the recording on October 22, 1990. A record agreement was inked by Tim McGraw. He had much to prove at the age of 23, yet he was ambitious and full of life. There was no assurance of success from a record contract. Tim McGraw, Tim's debut album, was released on April 20, 1993. It didn't work. Not a single one of its singles charted. There was no room number on the Holiday Inn's chart. Radio execs thought it was awful. Joe Diffie and producer Byron Gallimore both contributed to the record, but their combined efforts fell flat. Both Tim's vocals and the songs themselves were panned by critics for being unremarkable. That was a hard knock. He was terrified that his career may be cut short before it had really begun. Tim kept trying even though he kept failing. Clearly, he needed to do better. He collaborated extensively with Byron Gallimore on his subsequent album, Not a Moment Too Soon, which he independently produced. This time around, he was very careful that the music represented him. Although he didn't aspire to sound like Vince Gill or George Strait, his voice was nothing like theirs. Rather than that, he embraced his own voice. Plain, uncomplicated, and authentic. Not only did McGraw's 1994 sophomore album reach number 1 on the country albums and Billboard 200 charts, it catapulted him to superstardom. He joined the ranks of Garth Brooks and Alan Jackson, thanks to the album's 6 million copies sold. Even fewer people knew who he was a year ago. Tours across North America were now sold out, and he was the headliner. Indian Outlaw, the album's lead single, was released in February 1994 and contributed significantly to the album's popularity. A lot of people really liked the song because of its infectious rhythm and defiant spirit. On Billboard's Hot Country Songs list, it peaked at number 8, while on the Hot 100 chart, it reached number 15. On the other hand, it caused quite a stir. The usage of damaging stereotypes was alleged by several Native American groups in the song. Critics said the song played into tired Hollywood cliches, and the lyrics about wigwams and tom-toms made the song seem antiquated. A request to boycott was made by the National Coalition of Racism in Sports and Media. Listeners complained, and 2 Minneapolis radio stations banned the tune. The opinion was divided. There were a few Native American fans that came out to see McGraw perform. In fact, Gerard Parker, the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians vice chief, sent McGraw a letter expressing his approval of the song. McGraw acknowledged that some people were unhappy, but he defended the song as being lighthearted. Much though it caused controversy, he continued performing it, and it became much more popular. Then, in March of 1994, Don't Take the Girl was released. Contrasted with Indian Outlaw, it was the polar opposite. It wasn't a lively and carefree song, it was a ballad about intense emotions. There were 3 interrelated tales recounted in the song. The story begins with a little kid who doesn't want a female to go fishing with him. It then moves on to a guy who begs a thief not to harm a woman. And lastly, it ends with the same man praying for a woman's survival during childbirth. Listeners connected with the tune. It was McGraw's first #1 single when it debuted on Billboard's Hot Country Songs list on May 28, 1994. As evidence of its popularity beyond country music, it peaked at number 17 on the Hot 100. For its authenticity and narrative power, critics lauded the song. It revealed a new aspect of McGraw. He could do more than sing catchy songs that would play on the radio. His songs were very moving and could touch people's hearts. He became known for his exceptional balance. Never Too Soon was unstoppable by 1994's end. Record of the Year and Top New Male Vocalist were 2 significant ACM honors bestowed for the record. According to Billboard, it was the best country album of 2017. It included 2 #1 hits among its 5 top singles. After coming dangerously close to losing his record deal, McGraw went on to become a household figure in country music. That was only the start. There was more to Tim McGraw's meteoric rise in the 90s than simply his music. Reimagining country music and bringing it to new generations of listeners was the central theme. This change was greatly influenced by 2 albums, 1997's Everywhere and 1999's A Place in the Sun. These records did more than simply well. For country music, they were a game changer. The 4th studio album by McGraw, titled Everywhere, was released on June 3, 1997. It brought a more polished, crossover-friendly sound that expanded his music's reach. 4 of the 6 singles from the album peaked at the top spot. Seeing a smile on your face is proof that your love has no bounds. The Billboard Hot Country Songs list was topped by all of them, including Where the Green Grass Grows. Out of all the songs, one stood out. In 1998, Just to See You Smile was declared the top country song by Billboard after spending an unprecedented 42 weeks on the list. The degree of achievement demonstrated it clearly. Country music was in McGraw's hands, he was more than popular. A Place in the Sun continued to push the envelope even farther on May 4, 1999, 2 years later. Please Remember Me, My Best Friend, Something Like That, and the other 3 songs from this album were all huge hits. As a result, McGraw was named Album of the Year by the Country Music Association, and its U.S. sales surpassed 4 million copies. His accomplishments extended beyond the realm of commerce, as seen by his win for Male Vocalist of the Year. His impact on the genre was acknowledged by critics and industry heavyweights. The influence of a single global hit extended well beyond the realm of country music. His career was launched with the smash tune It's Your Love, a duet with Faith Hill. This 1997 single by Stephanie Smith swiftly rose to the top of the Billboard Hot Country Songs chart upon its debut and remained there for a solid 6 weeks. Additionally, it achieved the unusual feat of penetrating the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 for a country song during that period. The significance to the individual, nevertheless, made it really unique. While shooting the music video, McGraw and Hill were newlyweds, and Hill was carrying their first child. The authenticity of the song was enhanced by that real-life link. The business and fans alike were raving about it. With 2 Grammy nominations and ACM and CMA Vocal Event of the Year wins, it was a major hit. One of McGraw's most famous singles, the song went on to sell over 2 million copies. It demonstrated his ability to stay faithful to his heritage while writing songs that transcended country music. However, McGraw's influence extended deeper than just the music industry. Swamp Stock, a charity event he launched in 1994, eventually became far larger than he had anticipated. Raising funds for Rayville, Louisiana's minor league programs began as a simple softball game. But the event became more popular as McGraw's celebrity increased. It became a yearly ritual, drawing in more than 11,000 people annually. At Swampstock, you could see concerts by famous musicians in addition to the baseball game. Funds were used to construct new Little League grounds, purchase necessary equipment, and provide college scholarships to deserving youngsters in the area. Giving back wasn't the only motivation for McGraw. On a personal level, he has first-hand experience with the hardships of rural life as a child living in Delhi, Louisiana. You may make a difference by investing in Swampstock. And it was only the beginning. In the past, he has contributed to several charitable causes, including as hosting benefit concerts to raise money for Hurricane Katrina assistance and giving to groups like Music Jerez, which help struggling musicians. It was always more than a side activity for Tim McGraw to pursue acting. He dove in headfirst, treating it with the seriousness that propelled him to country music stardom. Friday Night Lights, in which he portrayed the role of Charles Billingsley, a disturbed and violent father, was his breakout role in 2004. Fans were used to his songs portraying a clean-cut image, but this part was quite different. The reviewers were impressed by its intensity and rawness. The Dallas Observer gave him high marks for the surprising intensity of his performance. One of the most acclaimed sports dramas of its day, the picture grossed over $60 million globally. It wasn't until 5 years later that McGraw showed he could play softer, more nuanced parts. He portrayed Michael O'Hare's loving adoptive father, Sean Tutti, in the 2009 film The Blind Side. He gave genuine charisma and heart to the part, co-starring with Sandra Bullock. It was a huge success, making $309 million off of a $29 million investment. It solidified McGraw's position in Hollywood and is still one of the highest-grossing sports dramas of all time. His acting career reached new heights with 1883, the Yellowstone prequel. James Dutton is a Civil War soldier who was guiding his family westward, and McGraw gave a powerful and visceral performance as the character. From its debut in December 2021 until its cancellation in February 2022, the program received high marks for its moving narratives. Their on-screen romance felt more authentic because Faith Hill, who is his real-life wife, played his on-screen spouse. There was no let-up in McGraw's Hollywood effort. His character was that of the spouse of a struggling singer in the 2010 film Country Strong. He played a NASA engineer in the 2015 film Tomorrowland. He maintained an active search for challenging parts throughout his prolific music career. It was very astonishing to see him go from being a beloved country artist to a well-regarded actor. However, McGraw shocked supporters with a choice he made in January 2025. Concerned about his health, he declined to participate in a forthcoming rodeo series on Netflix. He was thrilled to go into the high-stakes world of professional bull riding when he was originally supposed to star in and produce the production. He nailed the role of a seasoned champion pitted against an adventurous young challenger. However, he came to the realization that the position required too much physical exertion when he underwent back surgery in August 2024, after orthopedic procedures on both knees. The continuation of the series proved unfeasible once his health prompted him to cancel the remainder of his 2024 tour. Fans were let down, but at least one thing was made very obvious by the decision. The strain on McGraw's physique from years of performing and acting was evident. There has been talk about recasting the Netflix series, even if its future is unclear. Leaving such a massive project behind was difficult for an artist as committed as McGraw, but it served as a reminder that everyone, no matter how hard they work, must prioritize their health. Astonishments abound in McGraw's career. Collaboration with rapper Nelly on 2004's Over and Over was one of his most daring decisions to that point. It was quite unusual for country and hip-hop to be combined at that time. Despite skepticism from even Nelly's record label, the song was nonetheless recorded because McGraw was confident in it. The single was a smashing success, and McGraw recorded it in Los Angeles while touring with Faith Hill. It topped the charts in the UK, Ireland, and Australia and peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. Critics lauded McGraw's vocals, saying they gave the song more depth emotionally, harmonizing flawlessly with the reflective lyrics of Nelly. Live Like You Were Dying was a watershed point in Tim McGraw's career, which was otherwise filled with many. There was an instant sensation upon the album's release on August 24, 2004. With 766,000 units sold in its first week, it soared to the top of the Billboard 200. Its lasting impact on listeners was evidenced by its 4 platinum certifications. The album's atmosphere, which was captured at a hilltop studio in upstate New York, is raw and emotive. It wasn't just a successful song, the title tune became something special. It touched the lives of millions of people and was inspired by the death of McGraw's dad, Tug McGraw. For 7 weeks, it was the most played song in country music on Billboard's Hot Country Songs list. Made it onto the Billboard Hot 100, where it reached its highest position at number 29. It was named Best Country Song and Best Male Country Vocal Performance at the 47th Annual Grammy Awards. Both Country Aircheck, in January 2024, and Billboard, in 2004, crowned it the best country song of the last half-century. Back when it peaked at number 1, the album included other huge successes that harkened back to a simpler period. Peaked at number 6, My Old Friend went for a more sentimental tone. Every song beautifully portrayed a unique aspect of life, from happiness to contemplation. And key album in McGraw's career, because to its unforgettable songs and touching lyrics. Even after 20 years, McGraw is constantly changing. From his 2023 album Standing Room Only, he re-released Paper Umbrellas in March 2025, this time with Parker McCullum as his duet partner. The up-and-coming country singer added a new dimension to the song by fusing McGraw's distinctive sound with his own neo-traditional approach. The song's combination of traditional country music with tropical instruments made it an immediate hit. The lyrics added substance to the song's laid-back tone, stating that paper umbrellas may seem nice, but they won't prevent the rain. The song has a contemporary yet classic vibe, according to writers Monty Criswell and Drake Milligan. The duet was hailed by fans as one of McGraw's finest in recent memory. Keeping in touch is just as important as keeping current for 57-year-old McGraw. The focus of his most recent endeavor extends outside the studio to include live performances, which provide his music with additional significance. The unique performance will take place at the Field of Dreams venue in Dyersville, Iowa on August 30, 2025, with him as the headliner. This isn't your average performance. On the occasion of his 81st birthday, it is a memorial to his father, Tug McGraw, who passed away. Everyone knows about the famous Field of Dreams. The 1989 baseball classic starring Kevin Costner was filmed there, and ever since then, it has become a symbol of nostalgia and family ties. Baseball enthusiasts have flocked to the site for years due to its picturesque location on a 193-acre farm. This is the first time it has ever hosted a live music event, and it will include a combination of country music and cinematic history. The U.S. Concert Agency, USCA, and StubHub are collaborating on the concert's organization. Minutes after going on sale on January 20th, pre-sale tickets were gone. The romance between Tim McGraw and Faith Hill ranks high among country music's most iconic tales. Although they crossed paths in 1994, it wasn't until 1996 that they started dating seriously. Their tour that year was a joint one, going on a month-long tour and playing non-stop. It became clear to McGraw that he wanted to wed Hill as the trip progressed. However, gaining her approval was no picnic. Hill wasn't convinced after his repeated proposals. She was already engaged before the tour began, so she was hesitant to rush into a relationship with another country musician. McGraw kept going. His second attempt was on June 26, 1996, at Grand Junction, Colorado's Country Jam Festival. His words to her rang true when he turned to her in a trailer behind the scenes. "Please, I beg you, marry me." While Hill was laughing, he didn't respond positively. McGraw, still uncertain of her response, strode onto the stage to give her performance. It was scrawled in red lipstick on the mirror of his dressing room, though, when he returned. "With a kiss on the lips, I promise to be your wife." Everything shifted at that same instant. They tied the knot a few months later, on October 6, 1996, starting a union that would endure for decades. That mirror remains with them as a constant reminder of the fateful night that cemented their destiny. They never let the pressures of their jobs interfere with their devotion to their families. They welcomed Gracie on May 5, 1997, Maggie on August 12, 1998, and Audrey on December 6, 2001, their 3 children. They instilled strong morals in their children despite the challenges of raising them as country music celebrities. Tim McGraw has been a tireless traveling musician and actor for decades, putting in countless hours at the theater and on screen. His physique is showing the effects of all that. He has persevered through several operations throughout the years. He has had 2 operations due to the problems he has had with his knees. He also had to see a doctor after breaking 3 toes. He also had to get surgery on his elbow. After injuring both knees on a trip in 2024, he had to get orthopedic surgery. Several musical dates had to be cancelled because of this. His back surgery was performed in early 2025. An intensive rodeo series on Netflix included him riding bulls, but he had to put it on hold while he healed. Because of these setbacks, McGraw rethought his approach to training. Running had always been his go-to exercise routine. The years of use had worn it down to the point that it was no longer a viable choice. He changed his regimen instead of slowing down. Refusing to allow the failures define him, he shifted his attention to workouts that were easier on his body. A different incident long before these operations made McGraw reconsider his health was the catalyst. He didn't notice how much he'd changed until his 11-year-old daughter Gracie pointed it out. He weighed 215 pounds in 2008. She remarked on his handsomeness as she watched the 4 Christmases teaser. He was shaken by that instant. He was shocked to see how much he had lost from his athletic youth. With a resolve to transform, he gave up burgers, booze, and the bad road food that had long been a part of his life. He eased into jogging and weight training after beginning with gentler exercises like strolling. His weight loss reached 40 pounds in just 2 years. This makeover wasn't only about McGraw's weight either. The goal was to improve his health so that he could be at his peak performance and spend more quality time with his loved ones. Another watershed moment was when I decided to stop drinking in 2008. The impact of McGraw's drinking on his life and work has been well documented. There was a time when he thought he may lose his family, his profession, and all of his relationships if he didn't quit. His choice to get clean was supported by his wife, Faith Hill, and their children. He eventually realized the positives, albeit it was difficult. He gained perspective, clarity, and a greater understanding of what was truly important to him once he became sober. Managing her health has been a personal battle for Faith Hill. A problem that had been bothering her for a long time finally led to her having surgery on her neck in 2022. There have been prior instances. She underwent the identical operation in 2011. To alleviate discomfort caused by a compressed nerve or a herniated disc, the procedure known as anterior cervical discectomy and fusion is performed. Hill had to get surgery to fix an old injury that had been progressively worsening. Attending the Academy Awards was a quick post-op for her. Speculation began as soon as fans observed a little scar on her neck. The scenario was blown out of proportion by certain tabloids, who said she was fighting a terrible disease or that the operation had been life-threatening. However, others close to her swiftly denied the allegations. It turned out that her recuperation was a lengthy process. Stabilizing her spine required removing a damaged disc and fusing the adjacent vertebrae. Careful mobility and physical rehabilitation for months were necessary. She still had to modify her performances once she healed so she wouldn't overdo it and hurt herself. However, it never deterred her. She figured out how to maintain performing while also taking care of her health when she and McGraw went back on tour for Soul to Soul. Tim McGraw has had a career filled with both tremendous success and difficult struggles. His 1994 single Indian Outlaw peaked at number 1. It catapulted him to fame and was featured on his breakthrough album, Not a Moment Too Soon. Almost as quickly as Billy Ray Cyrus's Achy Breaky Heart, the song rose through the charts. Native American tribes were not fans of its intensity, but fans of the show were. Lyrics like "Whom I'll be beating on my tom-tom" and "You can find me in my wig" seemed more like cliches than genuine tributes. The reaction was swift. Media outlets and the National Coalition Against Racism in Sports successfully pressured radio stations to remove the song. A few actually did. A prominent activist named Wabananini slammed the usage of tribal drums and tropes in the song, calling it cheap Hollywood. It was opposed by even the first female Cherokee chief, Wilma Mankiller. McGraw stated that the song was intended to be entertaining and not insulting, in defense of it. He mentioned that there were Native American listeners who specifically asked for it on reserve radio. Nonetheless, the debate persisted. It started further in-depth discussions on the ways in which country music symbolizes various cultures. The public's attention was focused squarely on McGraw for the first time. Unfortunately, it won't be the last. The more famous he became, the more extreme his shows got. On stage, he was more than simply a performer, he maintained order and discipline. Auburn, Washington was the site of one of the most talked about events. During his Indian Outlaw performance, he witnessed a man in the front row physically assaulting a woman. McGraw wasted no time acting. Before personally dragging the man onto the platform and turning him over to the police, he summoned security. According to others who saw him, he appeared prepared to strike out at any moment. Rooters erupted in applause. He was portrayed by them as someone who would not stand for abuse during his performances. There were other instances when he became entangled in crowd antics. While performing Where the Green Grass Grows during a concert in Reno, Nevada, he made a mistake with the lyrics. It was too much for some hecklers to bear. McGraw was frustrated. He abruptly ended his performance, sprang off the platform, and charged directly at them. Video footage of the event was captured. He took a stand for himself, which some felt was excessive, while others admired. A female fan grabbing McGraw's crotch during a performance was the most awkward event. As a spectator, his wife Faith Hill was present. She made it plain that this sort of conduct would not be accepted by removing the woman off the stage. The reputation of McGraw was molded by these events. He wasn't your average country music superstar. A man who assumed command, he was. If it meant preventing a confrontation or protecting himself. Some of his admirers praised his resiliency, while others felt he lost his cool too quickly. But he had no fan in his most significant altercation. He did it through his own record company. After over 20 years together, his relationship with Curb Records had soured by 2011. His CD Emotional Traffic was delivered too early, and Curb accused him of breaching his contract. Their argument was that he was required to wait a minimum of 18 months between each release. McGraw put up a fight. Releasing an excessive number of greatest hits albums, he said, was Curb's deliberate strategy to keep him bound to his contract. Even more outrageously, he claimed they were subjecting him to involuntary servitude by treating him like a prisoner. The court fight dragged on for a long time. A judge in Tennessee found in favor of McGraw in November 2011. While he waited for the matter to be determined, he was free to record new music. He was efficient. Big Machine Records, which was instrumental in Taylor Swift's rise to fame, signed him in May 2012. Two Lanes of Freedom, his 2013 first album with the group, was released that year. Curb refused to surrender. Claiming ownership of McGraw's recordings, they persisted in battling. Courts, however, continued to rule in his favor. The court fight concluded at year's end 2013. Winner was McGraw. It wasn't only his career that was affected by the case. It prompted serious debate on the appropriate level of control that record labels should have over their musicians.